Hey guys, if you probably saw my last video, then you're just like, she looks the same. She's not moved. You're correct. It's past midnight. Oh well. Insomnia, sleep deprivation. Yay. It's okay, guys. It's okay. I'm 100% going to get better. We pray, we hope, we know. Amen. But what I want to discuss is this idea that there's not enough room for us all to thrive, so we have to compete, especially when it comes to like the small companies. I guys, this idea is really what's going to wreck so many people. The mentality that, we have to fight each other instead of like helping each other, it needs to go down. I mean, if you saw the title of the video, you might know where I'm going. But yeah, so essentially I came across a post where someone, hold up, I have it here. No, I always have to have my references. Someone said it would be super cool if the StoryGraph monthly wrap-ups included the books I started reading, hadn't finished yet, but I know it's only read books at the moment. Great idea, by the way, because I know I'm the type of person who starts a book because like I'm a mood reader. I'll like start a book and it's good, but then I get out of the mood to read it, and so I pick up another book. This is why I'm always reading at least 5 books at a time. And people are always just like, yo, how are you doing that? I'm just like, because I keep like switching depending on my mood. And because of that, sometimes I'll have like 10 books started in 1 month, and then the next month, I've only finished maybe 4 of them or something like that. Sometimes, finish more, but it really just depends. But it would be really cool to kind of be like, actually, I'm thinking about it. Would it be cool to see where it says books started 25, books completed 3? That was 2. Okay, the sleep deprivation is getting to me. I would even lie. I feel like that would actually be depressing. You know what? It's a good idea, but at the same time, it might end up being more depressing than anything else. But anyway, let's go back to the post. And then StoryGraph responded, you can see those in the calendar template, and in brackets, toggle the tabs, drop down up top. That includes current reads and DNFs. And now this is where it gets a bit spicy. This was followed by Epilogue Book Tracker, and they said, try an indie app. We put more effort in. And then it had that like smirk face emoji. And people were just like, wait a damn minute, the heck? And it definitely left a bad taste in my mouth, as well as in the mouths of so many other people, because one, StoryGraph is in the app, so that one I was just like, it's one thing to throw shade, it's another to be like misinformed and to not do your research, and so if anything, you're just loud and wrong. Like, I was just like, and beyond that, I'm like, you coming for StoryGraph? You got like, I always shout about StoryGraph. I'm always just like, you guys know I throw shade at Goodreads because it's a really terrible app. Like, it's absolutely horrendous. And in terms of like what people should go to, I always say StoryGraph. I know that there are other apps as well, like Fable and others that people really enjoy. But I love me a StoryGraph. Obviously, whichever works for you, that's great. But StoryGraph is just so amazing. It has so many amazing features. I love it. And they're always improving. And as you see, they're always like reading comments, and like, I feel like they definitely like take our comments in, and they're just like, okay, let's implement these changes and let's see how we can improve the app regularly. Something that Goodreads does not do. That thing is ancient. They have not taken on any criticism, any suggestions. User interface trash, but StoryGraph is great. Not only that, it is an indie app founded by a Black woman, and it's been doing so great. I will always rep StoryGraph. They bees knees, love it. So obviously that comment, it was just like, now who do you think you are coming after our girl StoryGraph? Like, part of me, like, the sour taste in my mouth, part of it was the fact that I'm finna defend StoryGraph till the end of time, as long as they keep it nice and pushing. Love it. So I absolutely adore StoryGraph. And then I guess this was their apology. They then made a post saying, a recent throwaway comment I made on a post about indie apps try harder has been taken rather badly. To be clear, indie apps try harder was about small teams versus big companies. Nothing to do with anyone's identity, and it didn't once cross my mind that it could be read that way. If it landed wrong for anyone, that wasn't the intent in any way, and I apologize. Again, this is just giving loud and wrong. Let me tell you why. So in this apology, they said that, it had nothing to do with anyone's identity. I'm guessing referring to the fact that a lot of people were coming at them and saying StoryGraph is a black founded indie company. So what the heck were they on about? But this person saying, it was about small teams versus big companies. I haven't really been checking weekly on StoryGraph staff, but I'm sure they got about 5 people. I'm sure StoryGraph has remained a small team. Just because they have grown does not mean that they are automatically this huge corporation with thousands of employees. It wouldn't be a problem if they were, especially because they started small, and that doesn't take if they do expand to the point that they have thousands of employees, it doesn't take away from the hard work that they would have put in to get to that point. And so I was just that's not what an indie company is. An indie company is not simply a small company, okay? That's why it was frustrating me so much. It kind of felt like someone was, feeling bad for themselves, and they were trying to make other people feel bad for themselves. And also kind of it felt like the comment, especially the apology that followed, it felt like it was coming, from envy for what StoryGraph has accomplished. And this is what I don't get about that. This book app, it's new, from what I saw, it's new, and that's great. I love that people are, making more apps for the book community, because as a book lover, book reader, any as we are getting more platforms, more apps, just I guess make our lives easier, make our lives fun, help us to connect, just get the community pumping. That's absolutely amazing. You're new, you're new. I can't say that, they're envious. I don't know what's going on in their mind, their hearts and stuff like that. But it came off as envy. You're new, StoryGraph was once at a point where they were small, they were new, no one knew about them. You didn't see them in other actors' comments talking smack, and talking smack wrongly, literally just loud and wrong. It was absolutely disgusting. And you know what? They apologized. The apology was still wrong because, again, StoryGraph is still a small team. So not doing your research and still being loud and wrong, that's one thing. But I know some people would be like, you know what? We'll give you one strike, but we will give you a second chance, because people deserve second chances, right? Right. And then I see another post. And at this point, I was just like, ew. I honestly will never touch this book app, because they made this post saying, so Goodreads have Kindle. Now, I won't even lie. In terms of timeline, this might have been posted earlier and stuff like that, but it's basically what I'm seeing these things when I see them. So who knows about timeline? I don't really look at dates, but the fact that this all happened within this week anyway, that's one thing. They said, so Goodreads has Kindle. StoryGraph now has Kobo. Obviously referencing StoryGraph now has a partnership with Kobo, where I believe that it's connect, they have one connection. I don't use Kobo because I don't have the Kobo e-reader. I know a lot of people love it, but I've had my Kindle for well over 10 years. It's not going anywhere. It works fine. And I usually read physical books, so I'm not too fussed. But I know that people love Kobo, and Kobo does seem like an amazing platform and device, so that's great. And so I did see that StoryGraph had a partnership with Kobo, where it's integrated and stuff like that, which seems really cool. And then it's and this is another thing. This is a book app, right? Whenever I see this does kind of throw me off. Whenever I see people you like use ellipses, but it's only like 2 dots or like 4 or like 5. This is probably me being like a nitpicker. Because I spot it immediately, because ellipses, to me, I'm just like, ain't ellipses, don't they go in multiples of 3? Like, I might be wrong, but I could swear that ellipses are always in multiples of 3. So every time I see like 2 or like an odd number that's not 3, I'm just like, that don't look right. And I don't like it. So anyway, they had the incomplete ellipses, that's what I'm gonna call it, which immediately I'm giving, okay, this is already sounding like shade. And they're like, yeah, well done them. But they still couldn't care less about their users or the author scene, unless you're making / paying them lots of money. Epilogue wants to collaborate with indies. Tell me what you'd love to see in a collab with us. What's important to you? I'm so sorry. Listen here. This is not the way to go about it. This is not the way to enter the book scene. You're not gonna come up in here and beef, legit beef an app that has become so loved by the community, and for good reasons. Again, y'all know I don't like Goodreads, and for good reason. Good. I'm so sorry. The app sucks, and they don't take into consideration any of people's comments. And when it comes to moderation, they suck. I'm so sorry about it. Until they actually get it together, I don't think I can properly root for them or like say anything good about them. And obviously, we all know my beef with the Goodreads awards. Bias sucks. Like, terrible way of running. Honestly, let's get back to the topic at hand. StoryGraph came onto the scene. The way they run their recommendations, the way that you can even insert the books that you're reading from different platforms like Goodreads. Obviously they now have the wrap up that you can do, like so many changes that they continuously make to just make the user experience on the app great. The community tabs, the competitions that they run, that where you can win books. StoryGraph has done so much. And again, the fact that it is a small indie company and Black owned, as a Black woman myself, I'm going to support my people. I love the fact that it's a Black owned, woman owned company. It's just so beautiful to me. I don't understand the mindset there. You're going to enter the scene in, book apps, in the community, and your strategy is to attack a company like StoryGraph. And this is why I started this video by saying, like, this idea that you can only thrive if someone else, goes down. That idea is going to destroy people. Like, someone else does not have to, fail for you to succeed. Like, the market is wide. And the funny thing is, the market is very, very wide, considering it's not like we have, like, a huge number of reading tracker apps. There are a good amount, sure, but it's not like there are thousands out there. At least to my knowledge, there aren't. So why couldn't you just come up onto the scene and just work hard like StoryGraph did? How about you come up on the scene and tell us what you're offering, without bringing StoryGraph up in the conversation? Maybe you can say, oh, if anything, say, just like StoryGraph, we do this, and we'd love for you to check us out as well. You could have ended there, giving props to StoryGraph and saying that, we're also here, we're also an indie company. That's great. Like, why are you out here beefing? And you know what? The fact that StoryGraph is one of those apps where it doesn't just keep giving you the same recommendations that the same like 5 books that people keep recommending on Goodreads. StoryGraph gives you a good variety, and they're not perfect, they're still growing, but they're definitely trying. And indie authors, they also enjoy StoryGraph. So come here beefing them, talking about indies, we want to work with you. You really think they're going to want to work with you after they see the behavior here? No. Like, I kid you not, after the first thread response, where they were just like, try an indie app, again, already left a bitter taste in my mouth. You were loud and wrong, and, disrespect for what, And then the whack apology. I was just like, I won't even lie. It's a whack apology. I'm a side eye you, but you know what? I'm gonna just put you to the side. This was where I was just like, you know what? That's enough out of you. That's enough out of you. I don't want to hear it anymore. And I'm not touching you with a 10-foot pole. You know, I obviously I told you guys I love StoryGraph. So I wasn't gonna leave them anyway. But if anything would have made me try that app, yeah, not so sorry, not gonna do it, not gonna do it. I just think it's absolutely, yeah, I think how they're going about advertising or marketing their app, oh, no decorum. Like everything that they've posted has been in poor taste, absolutely atrocious. I'm just like, who is running your marketing team? If you are running it yourself, get a marketing team, get a social media manager, get a PR team. Like you are doing terrible right now. You are doing terrible right now. The other thing is, the app could actually be so good. I can't speak to it. I haven't used it. I haven't downloaded it. I can't speak to, what it actually has going for it in terms of like user experience and, all of the features it might have. I can't speak to that. And I don't think I'll ever be able to speak to that because I'm not going to download it because, like I said, the way they've been marketing has been in poor taste, and I don't care to get that app. I'm so sorry. It's just been, no, like I said, such a lack of decorum and everything that they've been saying. And I won't lie, that's where it ended in terms of like that was like the last thing I saw from them. Chances are they're probably on an apology tour, and they're gonna be like, oh no, we didn't mean to we didn't mean to be mean to StoryGraph. We said well done to them. The way you said it was clearly done in shade. Like, please, we can read between the lines. Look what you now. I don't get it. And the thing is, it reminds me of a conversation that me and my friends had ages ago. So me and my friends, different creators in different spaces, and everyone is like committed to actually like taking their content more seriously, and we started like taking it more seriously since like last year. In terms of like a group where we like support each other. It's literally a support group. And I remember we had the conversation about like it was probably in passing about the fact that you are not competing with another person. Yes, they might be talking about the same topic, but they can never talk about it in the same way. They don't have your personality. There are parts of you that people come for, like, just for you. The way that they might explain something is different. The way that their personality comes through is different. Even the way that they edit their videos, their graphics, whatever, depending on the content that they do, that's going to be different. Everyone has their own style. It's the same way with authors. We can all be given one topic, and the way that the story will be shaped for each of these different authors will be like hugely different. And that's what makes the publishing world amazing. Like, let's be honest, some of these, like, not even some, a lot of these stories are wash, rinse, repeat. And I have spoken about how nowadays, let's be honest, it is repetitive to the point that it's literally kind of the same. There's really no distinguishing factors. But you do see like there like when it comes to like tropes, it's the same trope but like told with different plot devices, different characters. Each character has a different voice because the authors have different voices. Like when it comes to creation, when it comes to art, everyone is different, and your differences show up in what you create. You created this app. Yes, it is a book tracker platform, so on one hand, they're all actually the same, StoryGraph, Fable. I'm not going to mention the other one because it again sucks. They're all the same in the sense that you're tracking your books, but how they approach, how they built the app, the features that they have. And the thing is, things like the shelves, all the book tracker apps have it, the to be read and the currently reading, the how they approach those shelves are different. Even if it's like how the users can actually experience the app. it's all different because like the creators will have a different vision. And the fact is, your audience will find you. The audience that's meant for you will find you eventually. Even with this YouTube channel. And I always say, I'm always like trying to encourage like my friends, join me on YouTube, because I'm lonely on here, because you know we have our content like, you know, accountability group and stuff like that, our support group, but like, you know, a lot of them are on like TikTok and stuff like that. And yeah, I was on TikTok, and technically I'm still on TikTok, but I love YouTube more. And I'm just like, I want someone to share, you know, my successes and my struggles, someone to help me, please. It's always so funny. I've been begging them, and I will get them to join this platform because I think YouTube is awesome. But YouTube is not for is not for the faint of heart. Okay, those first few videos, especially if your first video doesn't blow like some people, when you only have like one person viewing your video or 5 people viewing your video, and that one person is either you, and those 5 people are, you know, are like you, your siblings, and you know, your close family. Those first few videos, they are such a humbling experience, guys. Such a humbling experience. Could I have like seen back then that I would get to the point where like, oh, Shelly, like 20,000 people literally like follow you, and they watch you, and they enjoy your rants, they enjoy how you dissect topics, they enjoy the fact that you're up at 2 a.m., you know, sleep deprived, but still out here, you know, just blabbing at them. They enjoy how you speak about this, because let's be honest, I'm not going to be the only person to speak about topics happening in the book world. I'm not going to be the only person doing a book review on, you know, the books that I've read. I'm not, but my audience found me, and they will find me in the same way that, you know, the audience for the other creators found them and will find them. Same thing for apps, you know, for art, music, literally anything that we create. There is an audience for you, especially if you remain authentic to you, to your style, to your voice, to who you are, to what you want, like to your passion. They will find you. And again, if it's also a good idea, because sometimes, let's be honest, some ideas kind of suck. You might have an audience, but like it might not, you know, reach the audience that you want because the execution kind of sucks. Let's be honest. Sometimes you just have to go back to the drawing board and get it sorted out. But how will we ever know if we, you know, we don't give you a chance because the way that you approached marketing it sucked? And let's be honest, a lot of times people buy into the person behind the brand more so than they buy into the brand itself. Or obviously before they get into the brand, they're just like, you know what, I got this app because of you. You know, I saw when you were speaking about it and I loved you, so that's why I got it. People buy into the person as the brand before they actually look into the brand. Let's be honest, some brands, they put out, you know, merchandise, and the merchandise isn't something that people, you know, necessarily need, but because they love the creator, they'll support it 100%. So this idea that you have to put someone down to bring yourself up is absolutely disgusting, and it is going to be the downfall of so many. It reminds me of now this is terrible. This is terrible, guys, but it's okay. Like, bear with me. When I was in high school, so I grew up in the Caribbean, and honestly, great, because like you can leave school and then go to the beach right after school. But I remember at one point, especially like after our exams and stuff like that, I would go to my friend's house at one point, like, you know, regularly. And one time I went, keep in mind at this point, couldn't swim, and so we go, and they know I can't swim. I let them know Shelly can't swim, and they're just like, yeah, we'll just stay like obviously in the you know, the shallow end. Then they're just like, oh, let's go jump off the dock. And you know, I should have known better, but then in my head I'm just like, oh, the dock isn't that far out, you know, so like where it ends should, like, you know, my feet should still be able to touch the ocean floor. I feel like you guys can see where this is going, right? Let me continue. So we go, you know, just Go on the dock. We walk on. And then, you know, they jump in first. They're like, Shelly, jump. And me, I'm scared because my behind knows I can't swim. But like I said, I believe that my feet will touch the ocean floor. I jumped. Did my feet touch the ocean floor? It did not. It did not. Now, I jump, did not touch the ocean floor. And remember, I can't swim. Panic obviously sets in immediately. And my friends realize that, oh, baby girl, she's drowning. She's fighting for her life. Because I'm like, I'm fighting. Okay, guys, I'm fighting. They come over, you know, they come over to help me. Now, guys, and I remember watching like a video where they were like teaching people to swim and stuff like that, and they were just like, listen here, if you are not a strong swimmer, if someone is drowning, you should not be the one to help them. You will both drown and die. And I'm so sorry. They were lucky. Like, I couldn't swim, but like I feel like I was pushing myself up, you know, to survive, you know. So, you know, that instinct to live was in there back then. So I'm pushing myself up. So when they come in my immediate vicinity, their lives were almost forfeit. Because the minute they grabbed onto me trying to like help me and hold me up, I pushed them down to push myself up. And the thing is, it wasn't intentional. It was legit automatic reaction. I am literally just, because I can't swim, you know, I don't know the technique. I can't tread water. I can't do a dam at this point in time, right? My instinct is I just need to get my head above the water, okay? So the minute they came near me, whoever was near me was immediately pushed down. Like, luckily they could swim. So while this was happening, you know, they're also like dragging me closer to the shore, so that, you know, I can get to the point where my feet are touching the ocean floor. And then, you know, everyone will be okay. I nearly drowned, like a good 2 of them. But we all made it. We all survived. And because of that, I remember even when we were like, you know, we didn't jump off the dock anymore, ever again. But even when we were like, you know, just, you know, in the front, at one point they were terrified to be anywhere near me. They were just like, if I started coming anywhere near them, they were just like, ooh. They were just running away. They said, oh, we finna die. Keep in mind, my feet was touching the ocean floor, you know? So I was safe, which means they were safe. But, you know, that trauma instinct, it really set into everybody. But that being said, what I was trying to illustrate was that people have this mentality that they have to, like, shove people down like that. And the thing is, what I'm thinking about is that I started shoving people down because I was drowning, you know? You're a new app. You haven't jumped off the dock. At least I wouldn't think so. Oh, you know what? People can consider obviously starting a company as like jumping into the deep end. So maybe you did jump off the dock, you know? But were you really drowning? You know, were you really drowning? You know, you're on Threads, you're making posts, you're telling us about your features, you know, doesn't seem like you're dying, you know, in terms of like, doesn't seem like the app is failing. It's brand new, like, you know, keep going, keep pushing. You weren't failing. If anything, you were treading water. You know, you probably weren't the best, but you were treading water. You know, you were getting there until you got stronger. The issue is when you decided to legit, as you were not even drowning, you were just treading water. You decided to just drown someone next to you just for banter. Like, just for jokes, just for vibes, for no reason whatsoever. Now, unfortunately, what has happened is the person you tried to drown, unfortunately, they're covered. 1, they can swim really well. And 2, y'all wasn't really friends. And so this is giving attack. So you're the one who's going to drown. They're going to swim away. they're gonna make it, and you who are trying to drown them, you forget your fundamentals. You don't know how to tread water anymore, and then you start to drown. That's what it's looking like to me. You tried to take out StoryGraph. You did. But StoryGraph has great foundations. They don't know too much about you, but they decided to focus on themselves and keep it pushing. Swam over there. You who tried to drown StoryGraph and you forgot your foundations of just like posting about your features and just focusing on yourself. Forgot your foundations, can't even tread water anymore. And now you're drowning because people are now going, oh, who the heck do you think you are? Who are you to come after StoryGraph? I'm not finna download you. I'm not finna use you. You suck. And that's where we're at. Okay. So guys, all this to say, focus on your own self. Like, focus on yourself. Focus on improving your craft. Honestly, focus on yourself. If you're doing something, focus on that, making it better, doing it well. And just remember that there's space for all of us to thrive, We don't have to drown someone else for us to survive. Because even if I didn't try to drown them, they honestly, because there were like 3 of them, 2 of them could have each grabbed an arm and, taken to shore without anyone almost drowning, But again, panic set in. And it looks like for epilogue, book, whatever, panic set in, maybe because they weren't getting the audience they wanted to immediately, and so they started to panic and decided that the best way to thrive, to grow, to get some type of traction was to stir up controversy. Because let's be honest, controversy does get people speaking about you. But it's one thing for people to start speaking about you and for your name to get out there, but then I feel like some people forget that your name is out there, yes, but that does not guarantee a customer base, a fan base, a loyalty, like a loyal fan base at all, or people liking you, period. And so that's not going to guarantee you success. And I think if the strategy that they were going for was controversy, like it backfired because they didn't think about what's going to happen after the controversy, which is sad for them. But yeah, honestly, like I said, I don't think I'm ever gonna get them because it's left a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't like them anymore. But power to StoryGraph, and we hope for the best. That's it for me, guys, and I'll see you soon. Mwah.